Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening, and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I am your host, Justin D. Morgan, and yes, I started late tonight. Sorry about that. I was trying to figure out why I got tagged on Discord and then fell into a trap. Speaking of things that aren't traps, let's see who is in the chat. We have Kibbs with Retro. Hi, Kibbs. We have Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack. Hi, Jeremy. We have Francois. Hi, Francois. We have Gutbomb. Hi, Gutbomb. And hi, Bianca. We have Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hi, Dave. We have Joe's Computer Museum. Hi, Joe. How's the shop reorganization going? We have Retro Techie. Hi, Retro Techie. We have Thomas Armstrong. I hope that coffee is flowing strong tonight. We have Viborg. Welcome. All right, so I've got a coffee goal. Links in the description. And I'm thinking of doing something at VCF East. So, I'm thinking of coming up with some secret magic phrase that gets you a free DVD from the mystery boxes. Maybe something like, I love mystery boxes, and then you get a random one. How's that? Yeah, everyone's probably either like, that is a great idea, or that is a horrible idea. There is probably nowhere in the middle. We have Rudy's Retro Intel. Hi, Rudy. Yes. Joe's shop reorg has stopped because I'm working on a new client onboarding. Yay. Well, that's also important. Yay. Glad to hear you've got a new client. Yes, not a sponsor, but go check out jcm-1.com for all your Blue SCSI and 8-bit computer needs. Or maybe you'd like a nice polka dot coffee mug or an 8-bits coffee mug. Help Joe out. Joe's got lots of cool merch. Because Joe is an entrepreneur. Okay, I can't talk these days. Joe is an entrepreneur these days. So go check out his shop. He's got cool stuff. He sent me cool stuff for review, and I got to work on that video as I have time. So yeah, go check out his cool stuff. Go buy it all. You buy it by, I think, sometime tomorrow, then it ships this weekend. How's that? I'm sure Joe will correct me if I'm wrong, but yes. And Retro Techie is trying to get people to check out garthbeagle.com, and I'm thinking that Garth Beagle doesn't actually own that domain, so caveat emptor. By parrots. Yeah. Yes, go to garthbeagle.com for all your squawkers needs. Or something like that. Hi, Jesse. I-8386SX is here. Yay. Yes, the system on my bench would be the predecessor to the 386SX. And that would be the 286. Yeah, Joe's correcting me, yes. Okay, I think what I meant to say is order through Friday, it gets packed this weekend, and ships Monday. That's what Joe's saying, yes. Joe says, all items purchased Saturday through Friday are shipped the following Monday. So, Jeremy says, garthbeagle.com is sus. Yeah, that's what I thought. But yes, I have the talking Emerson 286 here. It does talk. It does say a few magical phrases. If I turned it on right now, assuming it had a power supply, it would say that there's no keyboard plugged in. Jesse was fiddling with the hard drive on the LTE 286. Yes. Well, I haven't had a chance to. Joe says, select the free shipping option and get a complimentary increase in price on all products. Vborg acquired his second Apple computer tonight. Awesome. Yes. Actually, I bought something for this computer today from eBay, the place where I buy things I later regret. But this probably won't be a regret because I bought the IDE adapter that takes the miswired IDE port and flips the bits on the high byte so that you can swap whatever you've got plugged into IDE with another computer. So, yeah. It's not an open source board, apparently. So I had to buy one on eBay. And I only had to buy one because I only have one of these computers, and one of these computers is enough for anybody and probably more than enough for most people. Okay, Kib says spinning rust go wee. P.S. If your hard disk makes wee noises, it's dead. Yeah, exactly. Well, this hard drive might be upside down, but it actually very much works. It's just upside down because of reasons. So, I need to plug a power supply in. Probably would help if I remembered what I did with the power supply. Oh, that's right. It's okay. Oh, let me just go get the power supply that's going back into the case. There we go. Problem solved. Yeah, the power supply I was using is, I think, screwed one of my test benches that Cut Bomb printed and sent to me. So I don't know why I'm going to power the system up now because it's not like it's going to do anything different. I'm surprised no one's asked about the add-in card in the furthest, the closest slot to me. I'm surprised no one's asked about it. I don't know, something like, hey Justin, I don't remember seeing that card in there before. What is it? Oh, hey Will Jr. 880, welcome! Jeremy wonders if the Epson Equity laptops are like... Ooh. Okay, when plugging in power connectors, always make sure that you don't skip a pin. Otherwise, you will not have a fun time. Vborg says, I will let Justin make all the mistakes and then I'll fix my 500EC later. Good choice. Yeah, my bytes are going to fly off the disk. Actually, if I tried to put that disk in another computer, which I have repeatedly done before I knew what the problem was, the disk is actually unreadable in any other computer. That is how miswired the IDE controller is. It's wired well enough for this computer to be able to use it, but it's wired just wrong enough that no other computer can make use of disks that were in this computer. So I wonder how many people upgraded from one of these computers to another computer, tried to reuse their hard drive, and it was unformatted when they put it in another computer, and they thought that their disk went bad. In reality, it's because the IDE port was miswired on this computer the whole time. Their data was fine. It's just the high byte was flipped. So the high byte was written wrong on every disk that would have been plugged into here. Jeremy says an eBay seller offered to lower his price to $68 for one that is untested. Kip says, Justin, did you put a card with tantalum capacitors in there? Now I want to make a tantalum capacitor board that will make fireworks. Well, oh, Kibbs is asking about the board I put in here. Well, let me show you all, because unless you were watching Dave's Vintage Apple Tech on Sunday when I was doing odd things to this board, I'm sure some people would probably disagree with what I did. Yeah, let me... So I got a sound card for my Emerson 500EC. And I went all out. Of course, this is the only one of these I'm going to get, probably. I got a Quick Shot sound machine. So, oh, hi, Ryan. Welcome, and I'm sorry to hear about your father-in-law. So, yeah, that's the thread I got stuck on in Discord, was that. Because I got tagged somewhere in the middle of it for some reason. I still haven't figured out why I was tagged. I think it was a comment that appeared in the middle, but yes, we'll be thinking about you and your family in the days ahead, Ryan, as you go through that ordeal. But yes, I have a Quick Shot sound machine, so I want to make sure it is clear. This is a Quick Shot sound machine, not a Creative Sound Blaster, even though there are Creative chips on it, because apparently this was a licensed card. So QuickShot licensed the Creative chips for their sound card. In fact, I'm kind of thinking the whole thing's like, I'm thinking it's like a licensed clone. But anyway, during Dave's stream, I removed the solder in these 3 vias and I installed some dual wipe sockets so that I can install the Creative Sound Machine, not Creative, Creative Music System upgrade in here. So, yes. So this is the upgrade card I got for this computer. I thought that given what games would have been running on a 286 era system like this, I thought this was the perfect pairing of a sound card. Because I'd actually tried to put a 16-bit sound card in this computer, and I never got the drivers to install, because I think it was expecting a 386, so... okay, so Ryan's helping me out here. I was tagged in a Kpro post that was in the middle of the condolence post. Yes, I do have a Kpro. In fact, actually, Rudy has sent me a board to put together for my Kpro, so... Yes, you can look forward. Not only do I have a Kpro, there will be more Kpro content coming. So, and Ryan asked about Trident. What is the ratio of regrets to Trident cards this evening? Well, there have been 0 regrets so far this evening. And there have also been 0 Trident cards. So at the moment, we have a divide by 0 error. Or 0 divided by 0 could be infinity, so I don't know. A mathematician might be needed to come up with the answer for that. But this computer has a Cirrus Logic video card in it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm first just going to power the system up to make sure it still works, because it likes to sometimes not work for me. So we'll power it up here. And oh, put a trident into the K-Pro. Ha, very funny. But yes, I'll let it run the memory test because
please check your keyboard connection. A system startup error has occurred.
all right, it still works, including the speech capabilities. Excellent. All right. I will actually plug a keyboard in now, and we'll make sure it actually boots to DOS. Also, I can skip the memory test. Oh, that was weird. I heard noises out of my speaker as I ran a memory test. I probably will need to recap this card at some point, because the capacitors are letting bus noise in. However, if anyone's wondering, does this card work? It works. There we go. It works. I just wanted to demonstrate that, yes, the sound card does work. It sounds exactly like a Sound Blaster card should, more or less. Maybe it needs recapped, but I didn't hear any distracting extra noises in the FM synth sounds. So, yep, that is like the prime example of a Sound Blaster card, even though it's a Sound Machine sound card. Ah, hey, J-Wire, welcome! Yeah, that sounded pretty good. So, yeah, that was the 8-bit sound card I got for the 16-bit computer because, well, actually a lot of sound cards, even if they were 16-bit cards, that was only so they could use the extra DMA channels on a 16-bit system. There's a lot of sound cards that look 16-bit, but they're actually just 8-bit in terms of the memory interface. So, Will Jr. 880 says, FM sounding a lot like a SID. Yep, that would be it. Ryan's requesting ghosts in the machine. Oh, or he's saying that those sounds I heard from the speaker while HiMem.sys was running were ghosts in the machine. Yes, yes. All right. So now that I've confirmed the system is working, and I then toss something out of this bag like nothing. Oh, must be that card there. Okay, so to demonstrate why we are here tonight, and I'm just waiting for this card to like just work for some silly reason, but so I have a random card running the XT-IDE Universal BIOS. And I'm going to jam it into this computer and power it up. And I'm going to hopefully show you that the XT-IDE Universal BIOS is not going to attempt to load at all. Because if it does, it's actually probably going to run into a resource conflict. But it probably won't load. So I'm just going to jam this card in. The case is slightly warped, so it won't go in the slot I tried. Let me try putting it in this slot. No, that's not working very well. There we go. Okay, so this card is being stubborn and does not want to go in the slot. Alright, I don't know why it's... Yeah, you're supposed to test if it works before you start fixing it. Well, I'm doing this because the this is going to be easier than the other way of doing this. Because actually, I think the computer I'm going to put this... I'm going to have to remove the bracket from this card. Because the bottom of the bracket is curved and not going in the case. Yeah, Ryan says... Yeah, Vborg says you're supposed to test if it works before you start fixing it. Well, I'm pretty sure this card's not going to work. But if it does work, then, well, we're still going to probably have to build the XT-IDE Universal BIOS, because this is not the card I want to leave in this machine. But it's got the XT-IDE Universal BIOS on it, so it's a quick test. Ryan runs one in his Tandy 1000 TX. Only wishes they were a bit cheaper. Jeremy's got a 1000 TX on his wish list. Vborg says, get out the hammer. Well, I fixed the problem before I needed the hammer. Ryan would run them in all his XT-AT machines. Jeremy already has the keyboard for the Tandy. Yes, the keyboard's the hardest thing to find for a 1000 if it didn't come with one. All right. So here we go. I am going to knock things over, apparently. All right. If this does work, then I'll have to use this to figure out why it does work. But it's probably not going to work. I'm actually kind of hoping it might create a resource conflict to let me get into the BIOS. Because this system seemingly doesn't prompt to let you in the BIOS unless it has an error. Welcome to the wild and quirky world of machines before about the 386 era. And even then, I think the early 386s were still quirkier than we realize. Yeah, we got... Good. I think we should have a nice resource conflict here. So it should give me a... Hopefully it's going to give me a system error. And will then let me press F1 to get into the setup. Or is it control it? Or it's going to be locked up. All right, let me see if I can remember the There's some funky sequence to get into the BIOS.
Please check your keyboard
Oh,
connection.
there we go. There we go. I just mashed enough keys to get a keyboard error.
A system startup error has occurred.
So I could press F2 to go into setup. There we go. Because what I wanted to do was disable that and disable that. There we go. Now we don't have a resource conflict. Does it require a BIOS bootflappy? No, it doesn't. It just is persnickety and going into setup.
Please check your keyboard connection. A system startup error has occurred.
That's special. Can anyone read hieroglyphics in the chat? Okay, I think I'm going to press F1 to resume. All right, and as you can probably see, the XT-IDE Universal BIOS did not load. Yeah, it might be because I smashed the keyboard. All right, we'll try one more time. Maybe without the gib. Let's make sure I'm not going to try skipping the memory test. I'm not going to press anything on the keyboard. Jesse says, I can barely read English. Yeah. Vborg says, I can. It translates to something wrong. Yeah. Joe says, Cthulhu has risen. Kibbs with retro. More hieroglyphics. Oh no. We have an authentic hieroglyphic speaker in the chat. Jesse says, it's broke, son. There we go. Ryan says, Justin, it says, this is where you deploy the regrets. Jay Ware says, don't read it. It may open a Stargate or portal. All right. As you can see, the XT-IDE Universal BIOS is not loading. So we are going to have to go try to build us a new and improved XT-IDE Universal BIOS. And this is where... There we go. I'm going to blow the text up so we can all read it, including me. So, we are going to have to download and install a few things here. So, first of all, I am going to download and install Tortoise SVN. Hopefully, I install it correctly because I am used to installing this a different way than I need to tonight. Let's see, I do not believe I need the command line tools. Let me double check. You can use the default settings. Okay. Well, I guess I can install the command line tools. There we go. Yeah, let's smash that like button. And now, Jeremy, all these computers are special. Oh, no. I'm going to have to reboot the computer. Huh. All right, well, let me see if I can try that again. And maybe not install the command line tools. And if that doesn't work, then I'm going to go upstairs and grab a laptop. And I'll just use a laptop to compile it. All right, so let's see here. If I pick the default settings, so no command line tools, will it require a reboot? I'm running Windows 10. Ah, nope. Oh, yeah, that screenshot is Windows 7 in classic mode. I bet it is. Okay, I think I want to go upstairs and grab a laptop because apparently Tortoise SVN needs to reboot. Maybe I should just turn off the crash reporter. Maybe that will let me install it. Also, I'm finding the delay between me clicking install and it giving me the UAC prompt. No! Alright, I'm going to go upstairs and get a laptop because Tortoise SVN tells me it needs to reboot after an install. Which is... Will's asking, is Tortoise SVN pretty old school now? Well, it might be, but these instructions are written for Tortoise SVN or any SVN client, and I don't have time to figure out. I use Tortoise SVN all the time for reasons. I've just never had it tell me you need to restart to install it. So I'm actually perplexed. Usually when I'm installing it, it just installs and goes about its business. But on this computer, for some reason, it's telling me you've got to restall because services are running and we can't stop them. And all I can figure is it's because I'm actually streaming. Go figure. Yeah, it probably is kind of antiquated, but well, maybe it's just for the Explorer hooks. Well, I guess I can give it one more try. All right, let's try it again. Icon sets. Oh, it probably is for the Explorer hooks, but I'm not running Explorer. I don't have Subversion installed. Well, I mean, alright. Let me see if I can find another Subversion client. I don't really want to go upstairs anyways. Alright. Well, here's some smart SVN program. Hmm. Alright. Let's see here. I guess Apache Subversion. Hmm. Let's see. Binary packages. Windows. Looks like I can pick Silk. Oh, thank you. I'm not even seeing the screen to see what. Oh. Oh, thanks, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Thank you. I realize that no one can read what it says because the. There we go. Thank you to Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. All right. Yes. Well, I had to figure out who it was because I was looking at the Apache Subversion webpage to see which client I wanted. Looks like I can pick Silk SVN, Tortoise SVN, but I can't because that requires a reboot. Visual SVN and Serata. Or I could use Sigwin. No, I'm not using Sigwin. Alright. the Silk SVN? Windows command line client. All right. If you like our Subversion client, you'll love our Subversion hosting. Wow, that's some pretty bold claims there, Silk SVN. Oh, Windows has protected my PC. That's nice, Windows. I don't think my PC was ever in any danger from subversion. All right, I'm installing Silk SVN, assuming it doesn't tell me it needs to reboot. There we go. I now have a subversion client. Yay! All right, next we need MinGW, or as I usually probably mispronounce it, MingW. I don't know what the difference is. Only MinGW32 make is needed. I have. All right. We'll just pick that one right there. All right, let's create a new installation. All right, I'm just going to... Oh, hey, Sad Mac, welcome. Yes, hopefully I didn't miss... Oh, and hi, Eric, welcome. Yeah, subversion's like... Well, sometimes you have to use subversion, like right now. All right, I'm just going to install the... All right, this is... I'm just installing the 32-bit tool set because it's only using the make file anyway, or the make utility anyways, so... And need network assembler. All right. Latest version. Yeah, it's probably fine. Windows 64. We'll download the installer. All right. All right. Whatever. All right. Let's see here. Go in folder. All for anyone on the computer. All right. I think we've got the tools we need. I hope. I'm not installing the optional ones. Okay, so we need to create a folder where I want to download the sources. So, all right. All right. So I got a folder for the projects and all right. Let's see here. So I think SVN check out and oh, I think I need to change to my directory first. All right. CD projects. I cannot type tonight apparently. All right. SVN check out and then paste and well, that's not cool. URL for the repository is that. There's no need to alter other settings, so just click OK. Wait a minute. That doesn't look right. All right. So let me see here. I need to catch up on the chat. Francois says, you can actually clone SVN repos with Git. Well, I don't have Git installed either. No, I did not know that. With the Git SVN extension. Jeremy's asking, what's all this for anyways? We need to recompile the XT-IDE Universal BIOS. Francois says, you can even make commits that you later push to subversion. Let's see here. Yeah, Perforce was weird. I agree. E4 obliterate. All right. Well, I can confirm that is well, that does appear to be the URL. All right, copy link. All right, SVN help. Oh. All right. Checkout is CO. All right. All right. SVN help checkout. All right. So all right. Usage. Checkout URL path. Oh, Perforce obliterate removed the whole tree, including the history. Oh, ugh. Yikes. Eric's Edge. The funny thing about HyperCard, I'm back to keeping periodic stuff files for versioning. Yeah. All right. So SVN check out URL, and I guess projects XUB. Okay, that's weird. You all did see that the first time I checked out, it told me illegal URL, didn't you? Path is optional. Well, the first time I tried it, it gave me an error. Yeah, I could have probably. I don't know what I did wrong. Yep, says it's not Perforce, it's Perforce. I had to call their tech support once, and that's how the company pronounces it, like perform. Yep, says I hate Perforce. Okay, we got the source code. Yay! Let's make sure I can actually compile. Min GW32 make all. Wah, 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 wah. Did I miss a step? I bet I did. Oh, that's why. I'm supposed to run the batch file that it dropped on the desktop. Yes. I think I was supposed to run that. There we go. And now there we go. Okay, so we have all the tools installed. We just built the XT-IDE Universal BIOS. Now, I had installed it. The problem was you have to run the shortcut it created on the desktop because that sets up, it doesn't add itself to the path. It creates a shortcut that runs something that sets up a path. Whatever, that's just ridiculous. All right, so we just now built all the binaries. However, I believe that these binaries are not going to work as they are. Yeah. So I'm going to open up the let's see, win image, create a floppy image. Oh, okay. I did actually, I actually have a license for WinImage, but on one of my computers I had to reinstall it and didn't bother re-entering the license key. But apparently this one I did re-enter the license key on. Jeremy's asking, is it possible that the Emerson BIOS won't work with option ROMs? That is a good question. It's probably not, that's probably not the problem. We'll, Francois says, make love, not war. Love, no such target. That's probably not it, Jeremy. Because the last time I live streamed the Emerson, I had put this controller card in. It has an option ROM on it, and it started to execute that option ROM, but crashed. And I think that's because that's a 386 option ROM. So I don't think the problem is that it doesn't support option ROMs. I think the problem is that there are some options, which we were going to get to down here momentarily. And I believe that the XT-IDE Universal BIOS needs to be compiled with one of these optional parameters. And the short explanation is, I think I need to add this module to the BIOS. Module very late init. Initialize on interrupt 13 hex if our interrupt 19 hex handler is not called. I believe the problem is that the Emerson's BIOS is not calling the interrupt 19 hex handler. I believe the commercial BIOSes that I have are probably hooking both 13 and 19 or something like that. Good night, Francois. I believe the XT-IDE Universal BIOS doesn't include that by default because I think it's mainly written to, and expecting that your computer is going to call the interrupt 19 hex handler correctly. But I think on this Emerson computer, I need it to initialize on 13 hex, which is always called. And the reason I think this is because this would not be the first Emerson computer I have that I had to compile the XT-IDE Universal BIOS using this interrupt 13 handler. And in fact, it just dawned on me, had I been thinking, that, I don't have to actually compile a completely new BIOS right off the bat to test this. because, as I just said, I have another Emerson computer that required that option. Let me just go grab its XT-IDE card and plug it in this computer and see if the BIOS is called. Guess what? I have it right here. Okay, so I still will recompile it if this works, because this is just the 8088 version of the BIOS, and it'll be slow. But it just dawned on me that, my theory is that's the problem. Why don't I just jam this card into the computer, power it up, and let's see if the BIOS is called. If I can find the mouse. Yes, Jeremy, the Emerson BIOS has been dumped, and I believe the RetroWeb has it because I gave it to them. We're not hacking the Emerson's BIOS and modifying it and doing bad things to it, because then otherwise the computer might not talk. Ugh. Okay, that was totally not expected. Well, Well, I didn't really expect it to not do anything. Huh. Alright, let me make sure I'm not crazy. Let me first put one of these other controller cards in the computer that it started to load the BIOS of, and let's see if that works. And if that works, then I'll go pull the other Emerson computer over here. And we'll make sure that that card's still working. Maybe I did something to the BIOS on it and don't remember. It is quite possible that the Emerson BIOS has a bug in it. It's not running option ROMs correctly. But I sure thought the very late init would take care of it. No, it didn't even run the... Oh, hold on. Hold, please. I just realized. I gotta turn the BIOS back on this board. I had the BIOS disabled for another reason. Let's see here. So, to turn the BIOS back on, I need to put W2 jumper on, because I had this in something that I didn't want it to run the BIOS on. Alright, and the BIOS is going to be configured for D800. Also possible that... Alright, let's try this. So, now the option ROM should be enabled on this controller card. Oh, Jeremy just wanted to examine it, nothing more. Okay. Because I've already had people disable parts of that BIOS for other reasons, and it neutered the speech capability. See, there we go. The BIOS on this card starts to run. Wait a minute. Okay, well, I think there is a wrinkle to the story because last time I tried this card in this computer, it like totally locked up. Maybe I actually had a resource conflict? Maybe I forgot to disable the... All right, let me jumper this card real quick to turn IDE back on. Because I've got IDE disabled on the Emerson main board. But that's the thing. This BIOS actually ran. The XT-IDE BIOS did not. I don't know what the differences are. Because I think I actually tried putting the XT-IDE Universal BIOS on this card and it wouldn't initialize. Which, actually... Oh. Hold on. Let me go grab another card. Should be 1.04. Okay. So you might, if you saw my last Emerson 286 live stream, you might remember this network card. This is the XT-IDE Universal BIOS. It's the default image. It's configured for the onboard IDE port. But I wasn't. The BIOS image wasn't loading. So, but then again, this DTC one was crashing. All right. While we let this run, I'm purposely not skipping the memory check because something's up with the keyboard. Let me see if I can enable the... I think I basically disabled practically everything on this card. Let me make sure the IDE is enabled. Okay, the IDE is enabled. Oh. Enabled as a secondary. See? XT-IDE Universal BIOS did not load. Here we go. Let's try this. Okay, so the IDE is enabled on this DTC card, but it's enabled as the secondary IDE. But I think that's fine. I don't know of any reason why it wouldn't work. So let me plug this hard drive in. Now, if it detects this hard drive, it won't be able to boot from it because the high byte's wrong. All right. Okay. And while this boots, let me turn my little heater on. yeah, when I first got down here, I was kind of warm because I'd been running around collecting trash from the house, but now that I've been sitting here for an hour, I need to turn the heat on because I'm starting to get cold. Unable to locate IDE drives. That's interesting. Well, let me jumper this DTC card for the primary IDE position and try again. I did plug in. Okay, I did plug in pin 1 to pin 1. Oh, I know. I don't think that IDE hard drive will auto detect. That's probably the problem there. I think that drive is too old to reliably auto detect. So let me grab this compact flash card. And there we go. Let's see if it'll auto detect that. And let me see, I need power. Actually, maybe I don't need power. Nope. I think that controller card is supplying power. Jesse says if you have any G1 through G4 DL380 servers, those will cook your apartment or house in no time. Gibbs says turn on all the Pentium 4s in the house. Yeah. All my Pentium 4s are suffering from capacitor plague. Try to sing that to the tune of All My Exes Live in Texas. All my P4s have capacitor plague. Down, down, down. Capacitor plague's not the place where I want to be. Unable to locate IDE drives. Let me go grab a power adapter so I can plug the power into the compact flash card adapter. The controller card's supplying power, but yeah, Vborg says, I've got one, but it's the data center edition. So not only warm, but deaf. Gibbs says, where can I get one? Electricity is cheaper than heating. Jesse says, my landlord chewed me out for leaving my G4 on years ago. Vborg says, you can have mine. Shipping would probably be the killer there. All right. All right. This is really beginning to get weird. I might have to remember where the 2 network cards I bought more recently are located. Okay. So there's the BIOS. This is the BIOS for this card. Unable to locate IDE drives. Okay, let me double check. Okay. IDE port 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. So IDE is enabled. All right. Let me set IDE to primary, because maybe this card doesn't like there being no primary. All right, let me set W6 is going to be the... So, all right, I want to set W6 for interrupt 14, because that's going to be for primary, which is default. Enable primary IRQ 14. Okay, let's try this again. If this doesn't work, then I'll go pull the network card out of my other Emerson computer that's got a boot ROM in it. Jeremy says, I've scoured the BIOS with a hex editor and I've come up with nothing. That's because I think the BIOS is compressed. Also, the BIOS not only is compressed, but there is an odd and an even file. Emerson Computer no longer exists. The Emerson Computer division of Emerson Radio went out of business in the 90s. Wait, am I... Oh, maybe this card's not plugged in all the way. Okay. Oh, actually, I just realized it is the activity light's on. Okay, Jeremy has both bin files. Good. Just wanted to make sure you knew there were two. Okay, so the disk activity light is on for the compact flash card. And I guess if this doesn't work, I'll plug the hard drive back in. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like... Oh, hi, Robert McKay. Welcome. Robert did get the BIOS running in QEMU. Yes. Well, kind of. Yeah. I think I remember you saying you had to, like... yeah, I think the BIOS is looking for, like, some of the special chips on this board. Yeah, I'm having trouble getting it to... So, basically what I did is, I did make sure the machine was working. And then I put the XT-IDE Universal BIOS board in. That is a stock one for an 8088 to confirm it didn't work. But then I put one in that's out of my one of my other Emerson computers that has the option selected I was going to compile in for this one, and that didn't load. So now I went to this DTC BIOS to prove that it will load expansion ROMs. But this expansion ROM hangs up while it's detecting hard drives, apparently. So, yeah, I think it's hung. All right, so I will, so I'm going to, I'll unplug this compact flash card. I don't know. Maybe there's something up with the geometry of that compact flash card. I mean, I've used it, though, with this card, but not this. I don't know that I've used it with the BIOS that comes with this card, that particular card. All right, let me plug in the physical hard drive again to this card. Let's see if maybe it detects it. Jesse has an Emerson VCR. Ah. Yeah, I mean, Emerson Radio still makes radios, but... And I guess they... Well, I don't know exactly what all they make. I mean, because some of that might be brand licensing. Okay, it's definitely... I just heard the hard drive head seek. So it's like this card did something. Oh, is my sound getting noisy? Okay, if that was an early warning of sound issues, hopefully that cleared it up. Okay, so I think I'm going to... So, yeah, this is the problem with this computer. I have a bit of the static. Yes, Justin. When I speak. So it is still noisy. My attempts to fix it. All right, let me try to figure out what changed if it's still noisy. Oh, it's now clear. Okay. That must be OBS. I keep forgetting to write up a bug. All right, Jeremy's been... Is this that Emerson... Oh, the Epson Equity? I don't know what's up with that, what is up with that hard drive on that computer? That looks weird. I don't know if that's like peeling paint or... That almost looks like someone... That push button looks 3D printed on that hard drive. I don't know. That is really weird, Jeremy. Oh, it's now... Oh, Jeremy says, never mind, getting confused with Epson/Emerson. Yeah, I don't know. I... Case to protect it during transport. Yeah, I'd like to know... I'd like to know from that seller what is up, if they know anything with that... The side of that computer where the hard drive is, because it looks all melty. Yeah, that's weird. Also, Jeremy, I don't know if you've seen the LCD screen picture, but there's definitely something up with the LCD screen on that one too. I don't know if it's because they got the contrast and brightness cranked up all the way, but if you look at the bottom of that screen, it looks like it's decaying. So, peeling plastic paint, that might be it. Yeah, it's got a full length 16-bit ISA slot. Sure, a neat feature for a portable computer, but I'm the pictures on this one make me ask more questions than I can answer. Okay, this BIOS is not running. Okay, let's attempt to compile a new copy of the XT-IDE Universal BIOS, because Let's see here. Can I make this bigger? Window. Let's see. View. I'm going to add module very late init to all right. Actually, let's put that use AT, use 286, module IRQ, module compatible tables, and module very late init. There we go. Yay. I think that should be good. I really don't know if that's going to make something this can load, but the only way I can know is to build it. There we go. New binaries. Jeremy's not worried about the screen. Okay. Gutbomb says the IBM PC convertible used LCD panels made by Epson in the 90s. The panels were available everywhere and were used by teachers to make DIY oscilloscopes. Now they're like hen's teeth. Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully when you actually do get to buying one of those laptops, maybe you might find one that doesn't have peeling plastic paint. Ugh, something's weird about that laptop. I mean, maybe it's just peeling paint on the side and there's really nothing wrong with it. All things degrade, but also possible it ran way hot for some reason. Okay, I have new binaries. I have no idea if they're going to do anything because this DTC card, when I configure it for a primary IDE, doesn't do the thing. When I run a configure for secondary IDE, it tells me no drives found. So it is, and I could try one other thing. Okay. So I'm going to configure this DTC card. Let me try one more thing. I'm going to configure it for secondary. Again. I'll plug the hard drive into the primary on the motherboard. And I'll see if I can't get into the BIOS and re-enable IDE, but not configure the drive. And we'll see.
Please check your keyboard connection.
There we go. It's easy to get into the BIOS on this computer. You just mash a few keys and make it give you a keyboard error.
A system startup error has occurred.
All right. So while that reboots, let me put my thumb drive in my computer. I need to create a floppy image. So let me see here. I need to inject the compiled binaries here. BIOS build. So I need AT large and AT. There we go. I just heard the hard drive seek, so I think this BIOS on this card did see the hard drive, but it looks like it's locked up again. I'll give it a moment. Oh, okay. So I just copied the compiled binaries to this thumb drive. I need to go grab the configurator utility. I just tried to build the configurator utility. It didn't build, probably because I built it wrong. Oh, I did build it wrong. Here we go. Here we go. All right, save this disk image. See here. Image file. Let's call this 500EC XT-IDE. All right. Hold on. That's not going to work. All right. Let me pull the card. Oh. Jeremy says the crystal oscillator I sent to him for his 286 motherboard, which refuses to post. ...
Please check your keyboard connection. A system startup error has occurred.
Yes, it did, because I need to do that. All right. Whoops. There we go. Will says I got one bit of vintage kit. Turn of the Millennium 200 MMX Pentium. Not all that old school, but a good sweet spot. Yeah, that's a good sweet spot. In fact, actually, those 200 megahertz Pentiums are so nice. I just happen to have one right here for odd reasons. So why I would just randomly have one right there. All right, there we go. So we are booting MS-DOS with the hard drive I have set up here from the onboard IDE configured through the BIOS. How boring. All right, let's see if I can configure one of these BIOS images. Oh. There we go. XT-IDE IDE underscore ATL. I want to configure the large one if I can. Oh, haven't gotten any sign of life out of it since I got it over a year ago from Ukraine. Well, it's possible there's something wrong with the board. I've got boards that I never got any signs of life out of. Possible that it got, I don't know, maybe there's a pin that's not soldered or something. Not saying it's possibly repairable, but not having seen the board, I can't venture a guess. All right, I'm going to auto configure this for this system. All right, so primary IDE controller. Yeah, I think that looks good. Device type 16-bit. Yeah, I think that looks correct. Boot settings, default. Yeah, that's fine. Classic. Yeah, we'll set classic. Number of floppy drives auto. All right. Wait a minute. Boot settings. I think that looks good. All right. So back to main menu. Because anytime you get an XT-IDE image, you have to run the configuration utility on it before you flash it. So, all right. So I want to save BIOS. Back to the original file. That should be fine. Okay. And I want to exit the DOS. There we go. So now I should have a 12 or 16K image. All right, let me see if I can find a 27C128 to write that BIOS image to. Yeah, right. Hold, please. One moment while I go to my collection of flash chips. See if I've got one that erased. Found one. Got one. Oh wait, I may have more. There were some in my They should be erased. I remember running it the other day and not unloading it. Wait. am going to use my wonderful programmer. All right, let me... All right, so... All right, this is a 27C128. All right, load. Oh, track this to downloads. Okay, there we go. Downloads. All right. I've got the image loaded up. All right, let me do a blank check here. And my chip is blank. So let me program and program. I'm superstitious. I'll program it a couple times to make sure it programs. Twice is enough. All right. Verify. All right, we have verified that the BIOS is programmed. All right, so I'm going to power the system off. I'm going to realize that I did forget to double check what address I don't remember if the configuration utility requires you to tell it what address you're loading the BIOS at. Maybe it doesn't. All right, so I'm taking the network card. I do know this network card does work to load the EPROMs because it works. I was able to get the XT-IDE Universal BIOS to run on my other Emerson 500EC. I do know this network card theoretically works for running BIOSes. All right. Okay, there we go. Got the expansion card in. Powered up. I do need to... Actually, I'll skip the memory test. Why, looky there. Ha! It was the late initialization option all along. I'm trying to get into the BIOS to disable the IDE parameters in the BIOS. So, all right. So, for whatever reason, the version that Low-Tech compiled for the Low-Tech XT-IDE, there must be something in it. Or there must be something about the one I compiled for my other Emerson that this 286 doesn't like it. I don't know what that is. Maybe there's something about it that it didn't like the fact that it was compiled for 8088. I don't know. All right, I'm finding it quite annoying that this computer doesn't like just let you simply go into the BIOS without giving it a good keyboard error. Fine. Boot ROM. Let me see if I can get into setup the other way. Control S. There we go. You boot into the ROM, then you hit Control S. All right. So we want to disable the hard drive there. Leave IDE enabled. Function 10. Saved. All right. Yeah, apparently it... Oh, well, that's interesting. Non-system disk or disk error. Place and press any key when ready. Must not be auto-detecting this hard drive correctly. Oh, I bet it worked because I had it in the hard drive in configured in setup. But now that I'm expecting the XT-IDE Universal BIOS to detect geometry, I bet it's not working. Therefore... Okay, I know how to fix this. Alright. I was hoping to use a different hard drive if I got the XT-IDE Universal BIOS running anyways. Okay, so I'll take the compact flash card adapter and I'll plug it in. Now, I do not want to overwrite this compact flash card because it's actually has good stuff on it. And I don't want to format it in this because this computer would see it as an unreadable disk at the moment. Because the IDE port is miswired on the board. Instead, I'm going to grab a new compact flash card that has nothing on it, and I'll just format a new card. Just for the purposes of tonight's stream. Well, let me just use that 128 megabytes. But more importantly, I'm fairly sure that card will detect. Yeah, apparently the ways that I found to get into BIOS if you want to change something on this computer is either press enough keys so you get a keyboard error and it tells you to press F2 for going into the BIOS, but don't press so many keys that you just like make it impossible to be able to press F2. Or you like somehow get it to go to the ROM, boot from ROM, and press Control Alt S. Actually, I think as long as you're in real mode, you can press Control Alt S. But I think once something runs to switch the computer to protected mode, that hook gets removed. So I think when hymim.sys runs to check RAM, I think that hook gets removed. That's why I can't run it from the DOS I had installed. But I was able to do it from the ROM. So let me... Interesting. Not found. Not found. Oh! That's interesting. Didn't find the card. Is it actually booting from the A drive, though? Yes, it is. It is actually booting DOS from the A drive. But it didn't find that card. Okay. I probably need to put another card in the system. All right. We'll try this SanDisk card. It should. Or I put the IDE adapter in the computer backwards. Oh. Okay, I feel like a fool. I think I put the adapter in backwards. There's no key on the... There's no clearly marked pin 1 on this board, which probably means I need to find a Sharpie that will show up with good contrast and make my own mark. Okay, there we go. Now it should detect. Luckily, plugging IDE devices in backwards. There, a previous boot was incomplete.
A system startup error has occurred.
Okay, that's weird. Okay, so it shows weird characters, and okay, there is no boot sector on this disk, so I'm not surprised. Let's see if I can format it. Yeah, Kib says no oops, just eeps. Eep? I got the XT-IDE Universal BIOS to run on this computer. I don't know why the late initialization's needed, other than I guess this computer is not calling the interrupt 19 hex for some reason. That might have something to do with its over-the-top security system. But in order to boot DOS, it has to call interrupt 13 as the last step. So Jeremy says this computer unable to access drive 1. Huh. That's interesting. Oh. Okay. It did something really weird. So I only have one compact flash card plugged in. All right. It did not. I suspect it didn't like that card because it seemingly detected that one card as 2 drives, and neither were the correct size. So let's try this one. It is quite possible that I'm going to have to not use the... Okay, it's possible I'm having trouble with the onboard IDE because it's miswired. But the thing is, the way it's miswired, I think it shouldn't matter because... Well, that's special. I think I need to try to build the XT-IDE Universal BIOS with the hieroglyphics off option. Actually, I should have probably hit... Alright, it's probably going to boot DOS. I don't think I hit the key fast enough to stop it from loading auto exec and config. Oh. Oh, Jeremy says World of Warcraft troll reference. Well, the amount of time I've played World of Warcraft is extremely low. Alright. Okay. Create DOS partition, primary DOS partition. Okay, it likes this compact flash card. Alright, maximum size available, yes. System will now restart. Missing operating system, not a surprise. Alright, come on. I should have probably pressed the A key. Oh. Will's asking, what games have I enjoyed over the years? Um, Gauntlet Dark Legacy, some other Gauntlet series games, although some of them were only enjoyable up to certain points. Because I think one of them's got like a nasty bug in the game. I remember playing one up until some point where it just like you can't proceed. I think that was also the last game they made before they went out of business. Diablo, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Commander Keen. I'm sure I'm missing games somewhere. Huh, I'm hearing noise out of the speakers. Oh, Robert's got something to DOS debug script to trigger speech. Interesting. My compact flash card is singing to me. I hear the noise coming out of my speaker behind me. Jayware, I'm a heavy ski-free and Rattler race player myself. Cool. Yep, I'm not a stranger to RPG-style games. Alright. Alright, let's install DOS on this compact flash card. Then we'll know for sure it's working. Settings are correct. Install to DOS. Yay! Yep. Looks like the It does look like my guess as to what option I needed to compile in was correct. I I don't know why the one for my Emerson 8000EC didn't work, because that was actually the same option. Unless either maybe the BIOS on that other card's gotten corrupted, or maybe this computer didn't like something about the BIOS because it was for an 8088. Maybe there is something I don't realize about 8088 BIOSes versus 286 BIOSes. So I guess I'm glad I did decide to try recompiling it anyways with that same option that I wasn't sure was going to work. And yeah, I just dropped a screw on the floor that... Yep, it's on the floor somewhere. Hopefully I'll find it. I would find things quicker if I'd walk barefoot in the basement, but the floor is quite cold this time of year to do that. The 8088 was... Oh, there's the screw. The 8088 was a 16-bit processor on an 8-bit bus. I guess would be about the best way to describe it. Because the 8086 had a 16-bit data bus, but the 8088 only had an 8-bit. Oh, hey, Retro Tech Chris. Well, Chris, interestingly enough, the version I compiled for my Emerson 8088 computer wouldn't load on this computer, even though... Well, okay, there might be something else. Oh, you know... No, I don't know why it wouldn't load, because it had the correct option compiled into it. But anyways, when I rebuilt the current version, it worked on this computer. So I'm running the 286 version. So I got it to run. So I'm actually installing DOS on a 2 gigabyte compact flash card, running it using the XT-IDE BIOS. And it appears to be working. Except the drive name showing up as hieroglyphics. But other than that small little nitpick of a detail, it's working. Maybe I need to... Because I think the version of the BIOS I compiled for my Emerson 8000EC is an older revision. So maybe since I'm having trouble with it, I should build a new version for it and just go ahead and update it. I do need to get back to that system at some point. Yeah, I think the reason Intel called it the 8088 is because I think they'd already allocated the 8087. So they had the 8086 and the 80... Yeah, or something like that. Or maybe they called it 8088 because 8-bit bus. Yeah, I compiled the BIOS. It took me a couple different attempts to install Subversion, but yeah, I compiled a custom one. Custom as in, I just added one of the optional modules to the compile list. I didn't do assembly programming. But yeah, this is custom BIOS. It's running the very late initialization option. Will says 8085 might have been a better choice. Yeah. Or yeah. But yeah, that's the difference. So the 8088 is a 16-bit data bus. 8086 is a 16-bit data bus. The 8088 is an 8-bit data bus. Otherwise, I think they're the same. They did that because making a motherboard with 8 data lines is cheaper than 16 data lines. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just did something Chris hasn't done. Yes. Of course, now Chris knows that I can build XT-IDE BIOSes. So if he has any trouble getting it to run on one of his systems, he knows who to call. I might be on speed dial. If I push my luck. Yeah, actually, there is a 287 in this system. Yeah, the 287 is the floating point unit for the 286. Although I don't have an Intel 287 in this system, I have an IIT 287 in this system. Because the Intel 287 I bought, this system doesn't like it. Because I bought the Intel, it's the, what's the part number? It's like it's the version of the 287 XL, which is the 387 in a 287 package. This computer does not like it. The BIOS gives you a floating point unit error on boot. So I was like, nope, that's not acceptable. Oh, hi, Brian. Yeah, oh, thanks. Brian's congratulating me for getting the XT-IDE running. Yes. So, yep. And then for the 386, there is a 387. But because on the 386 there's the SX and DX, there is also a 387 SX and DX. And you need the 387 version that matches your 386 version. Because on the 286 is a 32-bit processor on a 16-bit bus. The 386 SX is also a 32-bit processor on a 16-bit bus. In fact, the 386 SX was designed to make it easy for manufacturers to go from the 287 to the 387 because there was the same number of address and data lines. So easy peasy. In fact, some 286 chipsets will work with the 386 SX, although probably not really that optimally because the 386 SX can support more memory. But there are some late 286 chipsets that also support the 386. And then the 386DX is a 32-bit processor on a 32-bit data bus. Now, the 486, those are all 32-bit data buses. SX and DX actually means is there a floating point unit in the processor or not. Thanks, Intel, for keeping people on their toes. Yes, in fact, Will, there was a 16 megahertz 486 SX, I believe it was. Those are really hard to come by these days. And rumors are that there might have actually been a 12 megahertz part for OEMs. However, I think from what I've read, that may have been on paper only. No one's really sure if Intel actually released the 12 megahertz part. That they may have not actually released it, but on paper at some point, they had that there would be a 12 megahertz part for OEMs. But there was a 16 megahertz part. It didn't last long. I think partly because the AMD 386 40 megahertz part ran circles around the low end 486s at the time. So, like that 40 megahertz 386 from AMD ran circles around the 16 megahertz 486 from Intel. So, I think that 16 megahertz part got discontinued fairly quickly because people were buying that AMD 40 megahertz part over top of that 16 megahertz part from Intel. So, they discontinued it. Yeah, installing DOS on a 286 sure takes a long time. And yes, I do have it is in high speed mode. Unfortunately, I can't. I would love to put in a compact flash card from another computer, but I'm waiting for the adapter I bought on eBay today, which will fix the pinout problem with the IDE port. So as soon as I get that adapter, I'm totally going to put a rear-mounted compact flash card adapter in this computer, and I'll be able to swap cards with any other computer. That's one reason I wanted to get the XT-IDE BIOS running on it, is so it would support larger compact flash cards, and then I'll get that adapter, and then I'll be able to swap drives with other computers, so I can have like a common compact flash card with software and put it in this computer. Brian Duval says mine works. Yes, yay. Yep, I ordered my adapter this morning. Yes, Chris. Yes, XT-IDE Universal BIOS really is stored in Subversion and not Git. Yes. Sadly. If it had been in Git, what took me 30 minutes would have probably taken me like 30 seconds. Yeah, Jeremy says, in my opinion, a 386SX is just a 286 with 386 instructions baked in. I mean, effectively, yes. Effectively, yes. There we go, though. I am booting DOS from a 2 gigabyte compact flash card. This name showed up as hieroglyphics, but hey, it worked. Now, unfortunately, I can't just jam this card into a computer and install DOS Bench on it because IDE port's wired wrong. But I guess, though, we can... let me see here. Chris says, yeah, some compact flash cards produce results like that. Well, I'd like SanDisk to know that I'm disappointed that they... Okay, that's weird. Oh. Oh, I wasn't running setup on the floppy disk. Yeah, I think my sound card might need recapped, but it's picking up noise from the ISA bus. Fortunately, it's in decent shape. The solder doesn't seem to be oxidized, so it should be easy to recap. I just don't think there's a cap kit for... Actually, I was about to say I don't think Console 5 has a cap kit for these Sound Blaster cards. Although this isn't a Sound Blaster, it's a it's a quick shot sound machine. But actually, now that I think about it, they might actually... Let's see, they have one for the AWE64, the Gravis Ultrasound Max, and the Roland something... Oh, okay, they don't. Well, it'll be easy to recap. I'll just have to order some audio grade caps. It should be fairly easy to recap it. I'm going to run check it to make sure my 286 is running correctly. Yes, Jeremy says I have a 486 or a 386 SX 40 megahertz and a 386 DX 40, and the DX runs circles around the SX. Well, yep, it would. because the SX has to do 2 memory transactions for every one that the DX does. Because the 386 SX is still a 32-bit processor, it requires the 32 bits to be loaded 16 bits at a time. Good night, Eric. The quote-unquote schoolyard debates were quickly settled with 486 is greater than 386 is greater than 286, and so on. Yeah, Will. Yes. I'm just glad I got the XT-IDE Universal BIOS running on this computer, and this sound card works decently. And I am so going to get the creative music system upgrade for it. There's someone on eBay that's selling. They're selling a kit, a ready-made kit with the programmed GAL and 2 of the sound chips. And while I could get the sound chips cheaper, I'd be ordering them from China, so there's a chance I wouldn't be getting legitimate chips. They're selling them as a tested set. The thing is, the GAL that I need for it's like one that I don't have on hand, so I'd have to order GALs, and by the time I do that, it might just be cheaper to buy their set because I only need one. So I'm probably just gonna I'll probably just buy the set from that seller, even though they're in the Czech Republic, so it's going to take a little bit to get here. The $25 they want seems fair, considering I just need one set, and they test it, so... Jeremy wants me to try a Snark Barker. Well, why would I try a Snark Barker when I have a sound machine? I mean, I'll probably try it someday. I just don't have a Snark Barker. Alright. Oh, wait a minute. This is not... Oh, that's not what I wanted to run. I didn't want to run the hard drive test. I wanted to run the hard disk benchmark. There we go. Oh, Retrotech Chris says, I had a ton of fun with the XT-IDE Universal BIOS the other day. It fixed an issue with my DTC VLB card and hard drives greater than 1024 cylinders. Cool. VBorg says, I need to get the CMS chips for my Sound Blaster 1.5 card. Oh, Jeremy says comparison. Fair. That's fair. I'll put it on my list of sound cards. What's a Pentium 586J where it says? Yeah, I think the Pentium is the 586. It's just the court systems told Intel, no, you can't trademark 586. Or I guess it was, no, you can't trademark 486. You can't trademark numbers, so hence they came up with the name Pentium, because they can trademark words. Well, VBorg, if you're looking for CMS chips for your Sound Blaster 1.5 card, maybe I will reconsider my thought of buying one set of chips and being done with it. Because maybe if I found enough people that would like that GAL, and especially if my programmer can program the GAL, maybe it might be worth my time to just get a tube of the GAL that I need for the CMS upgrade. And so let me look into which GAL I need to order, and maybe instead of buying one kit of 3 chips, I'll buy a tube of GALs so I can at least program a few for folks. I could very easily be persuaded if I could find a couple people who are like, hey, I wouldn't mind having a CMS upgrade, then I totally wouldn't mind ordering some GALs and programming them. So, Retrotech Chris says I have a 5-volt Pentium 60 system in my collection. Cool. Oh yeah, and I think Epitronics has one, and because that's one of those socket 4 systems. I think Epitronics finally found his heatsink for it. Jeremy says I have the Gerber and KiCad files for the Snark Barker. Well, I don't know that I'm going to order PCBs for that. That's probably one of those I might order one pre-built. Because quite honestly, I don't know that I want to go tracking down parts for all sorts of sound cards. And it's just kind of, some of those chips are getting hard to find, and I have a bunch of PCBs for boards that are on my backlog to build. At some point, I just have to say, okay, I have too many boards to build. I gotta buy some pre-built. Says mine's in a Packard Bell. Yeah, okay. Yep, you've got one up on Epitronics then, because I think Epitronics is in um a different brand computer. I don't remember what it is right offhand. Hey, Chris has a few Pentium 75 laptops. Yep. And let me guess, they're compact LTEs. So, all right. Actually, that's probably not a bad disk transfer speed for the onboard IDE. 1849 kilobytes a second. That's not too bad. I mean, yeah, I think the compact flash card could do a little better, but that's not bad. Ooh, cool, Jeremy. Yeah, one of these days I'll get a Pentium 60 or Pentium 66. I'll be I think I could find a better video card for this computer. Potentially. That's actually kind of anemic. Huh. Oh, now if you want to know why I put the other reason I got one of these IIT floating point units, look at that. The math speed is 80 times the XT. That is simply amazing. 80 times the XT. Yeah, Chris is confirming compact LTE 5000s. Yep. Yeah. I know a guy with a weird Trident ISA video card. Oh, I knew that was going to come up eventually. Well, we can see if that Trident card. Well, I guess we can see if that Trident card works any better in this system. Stranger things have happened. The thing is, not every video card is necessarily a. All right, let me. All right, this is why I usually don't. Oh wait, I'm gonna pull the video card out anyways. All right, so this is just a Cirrus Logic video card. In fact, you might recognize it if you saw my 2023 year in review video, because that is one of the two cards I got in the retro boxes that were not eBay regrets. Oh yeah, the other day I found an expansion card on eBay that came in one of those boxes. I now know why there's a gap in the box art that these came in, because the box used to say add-on card for 8088 computer. That's how old the box design is. I'm probably going to get one of those, even though I don't really need the card that's in the box. I almost want to buy it just to get the box. All right, let me see if I can find where I put the Trident card. I wasn't expecting to use it tonight. Shame on me. So it's not immediately apparent where I put it for safekeeping. That's not it. Here. Nope, not there. Probably in my pile of carts behind me. All right. Let me go. All right. Let me see if I can find it. It should be. It wasn't in that pile, so I risked those cards nothing. There. Oh, there's one of the network cards. There's the network cards I was wondering what I did with. Sound card. There. There. Well, here's another card that we'll try while I try to figure out what I did with that Trident card. It's probably actually so here's the ATI card I got from the glitches scrap pile at the repair workshop. I do know the card works. So we'll get a nice video image here. All right, let me let that boot. Let me see if I can find the Trident card in the meantime. We'll run the video performance on that. I suspect this card might actually work better than that Cirrus Logic card. That's a single board computer. I'm all right. I'm having trouble remembering what I did with that Trident card. I may just have to grab a different Trident card that's got the same chipset. Let's see here. Freeborg says it's a lot of card for a 286. Yeah, it is. I mean, but it is one of their older cards, so. Oh. It's actually not that much faster. Yeah, I'm thinking I may have put that Trident card with something. Yeah, that's weird. No, it's probably definitely on the shelf behind me. I don't know that that card did that much better. I think those are about the same number. Yeah, I think it's bus limited. Those look like about the same numbers as the Cirrus Logic card. Oh yeah, this card. Unfortunately, I don't have DOS bench on the. Actually, I just thought of something. So okay, all right. Let me put a different video card in here real quick. I'll put the Cirrus Logic back in because I need a lower profile video card. I just thought of something. This might let me run DOS Bench and I can get a better feel. If I can run DOS Bench, I can get a slightly better feel for how these cards work. But I don't feel like spending multiple hours tonight setting up an SMB1 server so I could copy files over a network connection that I don't have set up for retro computers yet. All right. So if I can disable the onboard IDE, then I just put that DTC card in that's configured for the IDE port enabled, and there we go. All right, 5. Okay. Let's see. I think the XT-IDE Universal BIOS should see this IDE controller card. It's configured for the same port that the onboard one is, but it's not miswired, so I can use a standard compact flash card. And if that's the case, then I can run DOS Bench easily. If this doesn't work, I'll give up and I'll go back to looking for the Trident card. And we'll just use the benchmark and check it, which isn't that great. Oh, that's not cool. Master, slave not found, booting C. Huh. Did I put the adapter in backwards? No. Okay. I, hmm. Okay, that's not going to work. Never mind. Alright, we'll just have to use the... Okay. It is quite possible that the problem is that there's something different between the way the onboard IDE is configured and the way the IDE on that card is configured. And maybe if I reran the configuration utility for XT-IDE BIOS, and burned another ROM, then I might be able to use the IDE on that card instead of on board. But I don't have time for that because we're at 11:30, so we'll ignore that, and we'll just do the... I'm gonna make sure that I got it back right, and weird. Oh, that's right. I gotta... Of course it didn't find it. There we go. Now it'll find it. Jayware, my favorite part of the Packard Bells were the combo modem and sound cards. Let's keep it cheap. I think I have one of those somewhere. In a Packard Bell. Jeremy said, at one time I believed AOL was spyware. Well, it might have been spyware. Retrotech Chris, yeah, they make for cool answering machines. Yes, they do. Jayware, I always wanted that cool corner case Packard Bell. Well, I'll let Team Corner Case have them, because they're weird. They're too weird. I'll spend my eBay regret money on actual potential regrets. Start searching for eBay for corner case computers that could be true potential regrets. Cyrix M2. Yeah, I'm thinking of getting a Cyrix M2 for reasons. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta test some. I've got some chips I was going to send Billy Core. I gotta remember to test them. All right, where did I put that Trident card? Or one like it. Maybe if I can't find the weird Trident card, because it's possible I set it somewhere safe, probably to the side so I wouldn't knock it over. I think I've got another Trident card that has the same chipset, even if it doesn't have the really weird let's save your CMOS settings functionality. Don't remember what I did with that Trident card. It's probably on my shelf very close to where the safety eye was. Oh, nope, that's the sound card that I got from the scrap bin. Oh, could be in that box. I think network card that I need to get an antenna for. There's logic card that keeps it. That's the network card. Nope. These are all cards. Well, I put the Trident card somewhere safe. So we can't test the exact Trident card I'm looking for, but I have another one here that I can probably find quickly because it's in a bag that's marked test on an actual CRT monitor, and actually I found it like right tested. Here we go. I think this is a Trident card. Maybe it's not. Oh, here it is. Oh, okay, I found it. It actually is the card that said test on an actual CRT. Oh, that's right, because this card cuts off the left hand of the screen. Okay, here we go. I got it. This is the Trident card you were all asking me to put in it. Even if you didn't say it by name, I know it's the one you're talking about. it is quite possible that the universe won't be able to handle the paradox of the Emerson 500EC and this Trident video card, so if the stream just abruptly ends, well, hopefully if I turn the computer off, I'll be able to stop the anomaly that's forming on my workbench. Also, the left two characters are cut off on this card during boot, and there's nothing I can do about it. I think it's the refresh rate that the card's running at. It's different than standard. Also, the end of this card is almost hitting the compact flash card adapter in the system, but luckily it's almost but not quite hitting it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to plug it in. I think once we get to DOS, it might actually... What? All right. Did I dislodge the network card? Hold on, I didn't see the XT-IDE BIOS load. That's weird. Oh, good night, Will. Huh. All right, well, let's try that again. I think this Trident card might be conflicting with... Oh, I bet this Trident card's using more ROM space than a normal VGA card. It's probably conflicting with the XT-IDE Universal BIOS. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that either, but that's... I mean, the XT-IDE Universal BIOS isn't loading. Because it should load right about now. But instead, I'm getting dumped to the ROM boot. Yeah. Okay, so if I take this card out and I put the Cirrus Logic card back in, EVGA 8900B. Okay. All right. If the XT-IDE Universal BIOS loads, then yeah, we got a resource conflict. Could move the boot ROM address. What kind of NIC is it on? It's on a Davicom NIC, and I'd have to... I mean, I could probably run the utility, but... Yeah, it was a resource conflict. Well, video card option ROM is loading first. Yeah. Let me just pull another Trident card off the pile. We don't have to use this one. I've got another one that I think is using a very similar chip. And it doesn't have a weird option ROM on it, and it also won't suffer from like the leftmost two characters getting cut off on the screen. actually probably an overall win, okay. Here we go. It's a more standard Trident card. It at least doesn't have a obnoxious over-the-top ROM BIOS that tries to protect you from multiple perils. Tries to protect you from multiple perils that involve your CMOS battery dying, along with, like, adding password functionality that's... Jeremy says, I thought I gave you a 3Com ISA, Nick, last VCF East. Jeremy, you might have, but one of the cards you gave me did not have an option ROM socket on it. And that might have been the 3Com card. Yeah, a different CF card might solve the hieroglyphics. I'll probably explore that when I get the adapter I bought on eBay that'll rewire the IDE port, because the IDE port's wired wrong on this computer, so that's why I'm not loaded. That's why I haven't loaded DOSBench on this card, is because I can't really easily do it. Yeah, and Jeremy, I know you did give me, like, at least 2 ISA cards. Oh, hi, Cass. Welcome. One of them didn't have a option ROM socket on it. So, let's see here. Video. And... okay. I think the video BIOS characters per second is slight. I mean, like, just a scotch smaller. There's those official units, but I think the direct video is, I think it's bus limited. So I don't think it matters what video card I use in this computer. I think they're all going to work about the same. Cass is working on a PCB for Gut Bomb. Cool. Yeah, it was the same as the ATI card. I think it's the same as the Cirrus Logic card, which actually, I'm going to go back to the Cirrus Logic card. So that was 3.9. Let me run it again. Like 3.99 and 8.33. Yeah. Okay. I think they're all bus limited. Chris says, I think this computer needs a nice nice Realtek card. I have a feeling that Realtek card would probably perform about the same in this computer, because it seems like... well, actually, you know, that would be a toss-up. On the one hand, it is a new enough low-end video card that it might also have about the same bandwidth in this computer. But on the other hand, it is just awful enough that I could see it actually being slower. Actually, at this point, I'm almost tempted to see if I can't find an Oak Technology card like it might have originally shipped with, but... Yeah, Chris says the Realtek card would be the only card that is slower on the 286. Yeah. Okay, we are going to find out. Lol. Yep, I have no doubt now. All right. Okay, I cannot type. Oh. Actually, I can type. It's just I can't type the correct program name. Jeremy says I'd install the Realtek card in a 286 and leave it. Well, but what would I do about my CD-ROM games in this computer? Although I haven't decided if I'm going to put a CD drive in this computer. Wait a minute. The Trident card was actually a scotch faster. It was 3.99, wasn't it? This one's 3.89. Wow. The plot thickens. I think the Trident card was a little bit faster. Oh, that's right, though. My other Emerson 286 has built-in Trident graphics. That's why I was not installing a Trident card in this computer, because I didn't really want two Emerson computers that both had Trident video cards in them. That's why I have a Cirrus Logic card in this computer. Okay. Cool, though. I think I have met the... Jeremy's asking, what PC would be worthy of a Sing Labs ET4000 ISA VGA card? Not this 286. That's for sure. Probably a 386DX or a low-end 486 that doesn't have Visa Local Bus. The problem is, once you get to a computer that has Visa Local Bus, you want to use that. And honestly, I don't think a 386SX is going to... I mean, it might be able to use it. I have actually read about that card things that make me doubt how good of a card it actually was, but I think the key point is it's historical, using it in historical context versus looking at all of computing since it came out. But yeah, I think a 386 or a 486 is a sweet spot. I do know, though, you don't want to use it in too fast of a system, or you will definitely see its limitations. So, yeah. I've read some people that, well, they probably tried using it in something it was never designed to be used in and were shocked and aghast and horribly, horribly led to type something on the internet as to how bad of a card it was because blah, 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 blah. It got horrible performance in my Pentium 233 MMX system in its ISA slot. Jeremy says, I have no working 486 Visa Local Bus motherboards. Ah. Well, I've got quirky 486 Visa Local Bus motherboards. I would like one that's not quirky, but I have yet to find one that's not quirky. They all have their quirks. Maybe that's par for the course with the 486s, but Jeremy says, the only Visa Local Bus card I own is an IDE floppy serial parallel controller. Yeah, so I've got 3 or 4 Visa Local Bus boards. They all have their own quirks. I've got one that you either get to choose maximum cache or maximum RAM. It's like if you put the maximum amount of cache that the board will support, then you're limited to like 28 megabytes of RAM. Because the moment you go to 32 megabytes of RAM with the maximum amount of cache that the board supports, you start getting memory errors. And I've confirmed it's not the memory modules because I can test them in another system and they work. I can like loop them over and over and over again in another system and they work. So all I can think is there's some bug in the cache implementation that if you have the maximum amount of cache, there's some bug with it at like the 32 megabyte mark. So I'm like, okay, well that's an annoying quirk. I think at the moment I got like 24 megs of RAM in the board, but I kind of like, I don't know, it's quirky. I've got another Visa Local Bus board that it disables the level 1 cache in the CPU no matter what you configure it for. So, yeah, that's just unacceptably quirky. Believe me, you would not imagine how. I mean, sure, I'm sure that will help you play some older DOS games, but disabling the level 1 cache on a 486 processor really hamstrings it. Because that's your fast cache. And it disables it. No matter what you have the BIOS set to, it's always disabled. Yes, if you're wondering, it is a Shuttle Hot 491 board or something like that. Yes, this board was available with fake cache back in the day. The only thing I can figure is that it's some quirk with the hack they put in the BIOS so that it would work with fake cache chips. But I really don't want to see. Oh, actually, I could easily see how bad that board would perform with absolutely no cache enabled. Yeah, that would be awful. Because the level 1 cache is disabled no matter what you do. Yes, you can disable the level 2 cache in the BIOS, and it will totally do that. So, yeah, Robert says 28 megs would have been huge back then. Yes, it would have been. Jeremy says 28 megs should be plenty for a 486. Yeah, 486, 28 megs is plenty for a 486, but I would rather put two 16s in the board and be done with it. I don't really need to go over 32 megabytes, but I wanted to install 32 megabytes in it so that I did not have to put 4 sims in it. But the problem is, with the maximum amount of cache, everything that's mapped over 32 megabytes gives memory errors. And with 32 megabytes installed, because of the way the memory maps work on PC and the upper memory area, RAM's not actually mapped to it, that means the upper end of RAM, you get RAM errors. So I'm like, that's useless. So that's Visa Local Bus board number 2 that has quirks. I guess the only Visa Local Bus board I have that's not really quirky is my VIP board, the Visa Local Bus ISA and PCI board. It's got only one Visa Local Bus slot. It's not quirky. It's just like, okay, that's nice. It's got Visa Local Bus and PCI. That's nice. It's like, I know people. I know that they're big, and some people are like, "Yeah, I want that because I want to put like lots of Visa Local Bus cards and PCI cards in it." But the problem is, mine only has one Visa Local Bus slot. It's got integrated I/O for the hard drive, so I don't really need more than one. But I did a side by side comparison of Visa Local Bus and PCI video, and Visa Local Bus wins. I'm like, yeah, okay, but if I'm got onboard I/O, why do I really need the PCI too? Because I'm just going to jam a Visa Local Bus card in it and be done with it. And okay, so I got an ISA slot for sound card, but okay, done. I know there's like more hoopla around them than I really see because I'm like, okay, I don't need all these expansion cards in it. I just want a system that can game that approximate era. Okay. I don't know. I think I bought into the hoopla when I bought it, but luckily that was one of my eBay purchases that I went cheap and the board actually ended up working. Jeremy's asking about the PCI 486 board that I bought from him. Is it still okay? And the short answer is no. It is actually not okay. It probably would work if I powered it up, but I started the process of removing the fake cache chips from it and started lifting traces. So I stopped trying to remove the fake cache chips from it. I haven't broken any traces, but I have compromised the integrity of some of the traces that are closest to the pins of the fake cache chip, and I didn't get the fake cache off of it. So the answer to your question, Jeremy, is the board still okay? No, it's not. I have set it aside until I can figure out how to finish removing the fake cache chips without doing any more trace damage, and hopefully without making those traces that I lifted break. So yeah, that's the problem with that board. I should have left well enough alone, but I bought that board to do an experiment to show that yes, the boards with the dip style fake cache chips are routed for using cache chips, and if you replace them, they'll usually work. But yeah, I had to stop on that board. I probably will end up taking the board somewhere where I can use an actual Hacko desolder station, but I won't be able to film that process because I'll probably just take it to the innovation station at work. I won't be able to film the process, but at least I'll be able to use that and just do it quickly. Because, yeah, my desolder station is not helping remove those chips. And Jeremy says burn the fake chips. Yeah, I'll do something with them. Yeah, Chris, Visa Local Bus beat out PCI, and the reason is it's the overhead of the PCI bus. It was minor. It wasn't a large margin at all, but the Visa Local Bus did beat PCI by a noticeable enough margin that it was the victor. Because yes, Chris, if you'll remember that Mach 64 Visa Local Bus card that you told me to buy at the swap meet, well, I went and found a Mach 64 PCI card that uses the same chip. Or it's the PCI equivalent of the same chip. Some Visa Local Bus and PCI cards, the same chip can go on either bus. There's usually like a pull up or something, or a pull down on the that you put on the board to configure which bus it's actually on, but the chip supports both. I don't remember if the Mach 64 is one of those chips where the chip supports both, or if there's a PCI version and a Visa Local Bus version, but they're from the same vintage. Because I know ATI at some point updated the Mach 64 chip. So as far as I know, I tried to get a PCI version that was the same vintage as the Visa Local Bus card I have to try to be a fair comparison. But yeah, Visa Local Bus beat the PCI just a little bit, and my arm could be twisted to do a little write-up on Twitter this weekend on it. Because I should have both cards at ready reach. Because right there's the corner of my Visa Local Bus system right there. It's well, okay, it doesn't have the VIP board in it, but the VIP board is well, it's somewhere over there. Oh, no, it's not over there. My VIP board is actually sitting over to my right. I know where it is, but I could very easily set it up and do a quick side-by-side comparison. But yeah, yeah, that's oh yeah, and then I've got one other Visa Local Bus board that I remember. So I think I have a total of 4 boards that have Visa Local. Got the one in that case that you either get 32 megabytes of RAM or maximum cache. I've got the shuttle hot board that's a hot mess that it disables L1 cache all the time. And I need to have, I keep forgetting to send Kevin Moonlight the BIOS for that board. So Chris, maybe if you, um, I don't know if you can like get me Kevin's email address so I can just email in that file, because I think I did convince him to take a peek at it, because I think I did pique his interest on that mystery. So that's two boards. Yeah, the VIP board. That I mean, it's okay. It's got Visa Local Bus and PCI. Neat. I mean, it is a nice board. But a lot of people get excited over it. I'm like, well, it's a nice board, but maybe I'm just not as excitable over the fact that you have Visa Local Bus, PCI, ISA. Okay, fine. So maybe it's not. I can't really call it quirky. It just gets overhyped sometimes. And then the fourth board is the like first Visa Local Bus board I bought. That's the Lion Computers ISA, like it's the Made in USA board that I have. That board is quirky because if the CMOS settings get corrupted, the board doesn't boot. And it's not always immediately apparent that the CMOS settings are corrupted, or I don't know why they get corrupted. And if they do get corrupted, you gotta like remove the battery for like, I don't know that the CMOS clear jumper on the board actually does what it says it does, because I think I've found out that inevitably to get the board to work, once its CMOS has gotten corrupted and it doesn't post at all, is you gotta like pull the battery and let it sit for 30 minutes and then it'll usually post. I'm like, as far, I'm wondering if the real-time clock chip on the board is actually bad, because theoretically the battery's good. It shouldn't be just losing its settings, but once it's like its settings are getting corrupted and you got to pull the CMOS battery out for 30 minutes, because I don't think the clear jumper's working. Yeah, my audio's probably went crackly again. I was actually about to wrap the stream up anyways, but I am a stickler for good audio quality, so hopefully deactivating and reactivating the camera in OBS fixed the problem again. Yeah, Jeremy says the Visa Local Bus plus ISA plus PCI board is the all-in-one solution. Yes, it is the all-in-one solution, but yeah. But if all you're really going to do is put a Visa Local Bus and a Visa Local Bus video card and an ISA sound card in it, then it's like, good. All right. So it sounds like I can at least end the stream on a good audio quality note. So anyways, yeah. So we got the XT-IDE BIOS compiled for the Emerson 500EC. You got to use the very late initialization option on the build. So that means you can't use any of the default builds. You'll have to build your own. But I was able to get it working. Jeremy says it's also a gimmick. Yeah, it's a gimmick board. And although I guess I can say, Jeremy, probably the one good thing about those VIP boards is by the time you got to PCI, the 486 boards were mature enough that at least the VIP boards are probably pretty solid, because I can't really find many faults with it. It seems to be a solid board and it doesn't have like some of the cache quirks of my other boards. So maybe the one good thing about the VIP board is it's new enough that the BIOS is pretty stable and there aren't a lot of quirks with it, but it is a gimmick, because really you're either going to use PCI and ISA or you're going to use Visa Local Bus and ISA. because, okay, so the Mach 64, the Visa Local Bus version of that board is just a bit faster than the PCI board, but better PCI cards came out, and I'm sure if I put I'm, in fact, actually, I have some newer ATI cards that have their roots with the Mach 64, and I kind of curious if I put one of those in that board and compared it with the Mach 64. I'm kind of thinking that actually those newer ATI cards might actually be faster than the Mach 64 Visa Local Bus because they would have been refined. So, so yeah, it's kind of a gimmick board. I can see why they made them back in the day because if you were upgrading your computer and you had a nice Visa Local Bus video card and you wanted to do an upgrade and you didn't want to throw everything out, sure, I see the value in being able to keep the video card you like, but being able to go up to a faster 486 and then being able to put a PCI video card in that's better in like a year or two, I totally see the value in that. But now it's kind of the value is, I don't see them as valuable now because all the PCI and all the Visa Local Bus cards that were ever made are out. I'm not going to say no one's going to make another one. There is always the possibility some geek somewhere is working on an FPGA core to go on a PCI or a Visa Local Bus card to be the ultimate be all end all video card. So I won't discount the fact that there might not be a modern one come out, but at least for the retro ones. Hi Dave, or hi Ron, welcome. Yeah, I'm really gonna wrap the stream up now. My throat's getting dry, but yeah, if you're buying the vintage video cards of those era, they're all out, so you take your pick. But I could see back in the day the value of being able to slowly upgrade your computer because it was a big investment and replacing everything was expensive, but being able to take baby steps up to be able to round one, okay, you get the new board, you get a faster processor, you'll have to replace your RAM, but at least you get to keep your nice Visa Local Bus video card and your other peripheral cards. And then maybe next year you go, okay, well, we'll buy that new PCI card that came out. Hi, Sloopy, welcome. But yeah, as Ron says, Visa Local Bus is so dang expensive these days. That is true. 14 watching, but 13 likes. Come on, folks. Yep. Anyways, I think that's about it because we did meet the primary objective. I have the XT-IDE Universal BIOS running on my Emerson 500EC. And I ordered the adapter today that'll let me be able to swap drives with other computers because the IDE port's miswired on the motherboard. And Ron says, my EISA card will never be out of date. All right. I'm glad for that. Anyways, I think that about wraps it up. My throat is about ready to tell me to drink water or I'm going to stop letting sound come out of your throat. Or I'm going to start coughing. I really probably need to remember to bring a water bottle down here with me. That would probably help me right about now. But anyways, I do have to go to work tomorrow, so I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining me. So take care and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, Take care.